You are live.
Okay. Not
Give him a
seeing
second.
him.
In a second, you'll see.
Okay.
It's gonna take like 30 seconds to
All
kick in.
right. Yeah. There we go. All right. So I'll let you know. Just give me a moment to get this up on the YouTube page.
Okay.
See where this has this little turn right
Mhm,
there?
mhm.
The only thing I can
I'm afraid
say.
to touch
No.
anything. Hide the preview of your vertical broadcast. Huh? I'm just gonna
Leave it alone.
leave it alone.
All right, guys. I think that um yeah, you're live.
So we're ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, you're live.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Sports Talk with Eddie, presented by Our Time Press. We got a lot to get into. Winter meetings is around. Hopefully, within the next week, things start to heat up. It's been a little slow this winter meetings, which is kind of odd. Usually, the first day, second day, things picked up. At least in previous years, that's how it's been. But it just seems very mysterious, especially when you're talking about the Yankees and their standpoint. We'll get into some football as well, and obviously the topic from last week was Giannis. As far as rumors circulating, is he New York bound? Is he not New York bound? We'll definitely get into that. But before we get into that, I just want to send a shout out to everybody that tuned in last week's podcast. It was probably the toughest thing that I had to do personally, professionally, as far as on camera. I've been doing this for some time. So just I want to thank you guys for sending condolences. People, friends and family text me, reach me out regarding Francia and PJ's passing. I did say that I will give you guys a brief update regarding her father. Unfortunately, a few days ago, her father sadly passed due to the smoke inhalation in the fire. So just very, very sad news to go about and the story and whatnot. But again, thank you guys so much for the calls and the texts. On behalf of myself and everybody here in Our Time Press, we definitely do appreciate the love and support. And as you can see, just setting this up, it's been a bit of a challenge, without PJ's expertise, but we're getting it together. We got it all right, and I'm gonna continue to bring you guys the hottest stuff that we have yet as far as the world of sports goes and New York sports goes. So let's get into some football, shall we? Who This draft is very, very unique because there's a lot of I have spoken to a lot of Jets fans. I've spoken to a lot of Giants fans where it's like, as far as the quarterback market, there's really not that much of a strong market. Everybody's already talking about the class of 2027. Um, Now, obviously, if you're a Jets fan, which has years and years of misery, last week they um, they lost to the Miami Dolphins, which marks the 16th straight year that they will miss the playoffs, and it is the longest tenured streak for any franchise that has not been to the playoffs. And obviously, how ironic that the Jets just happen to be attached to something like that. And listen, I'll tell you, I've said it almost every week whenever we get calls about the Jets and things of that nature. It is not being a Jets fan is not for the weak, guys. It's just simply not. There's a lot of heartbreaks you have to deal with. There's a lot of momentary happiness because there's never a full blown dosage of happiness when you're a Jet fan nowadays. But when you're in too deep so far and you bleed green, that's just what happens. You just gotta deal with the trials and tribulation, and hopefully something comes around, with this Jets and they turn it around. But prior to last week, they did win three out of their last five. So, you know, what that proves to me is that okay, Aaron Glenn has the capability of being a head coach in this league. I've always thought that. I was a very big fan of the higher end when they was able to lure him away from Detroit. So I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Tennessee Titans would have the number one pick in the draft, followed by the New York Giants. New Orleans won their game, so they sort of, not for the most part, but at least the number one pick diminish their chances of securing that number one pick. And of course, they will also be looking for a quarterback on the market as well. So for the Giants part, it's it's structured a little bit different as opposed to the Jets because I do believe Jackson Dart is a quarterback in the NFL. I do believe he is the NFL quarterback. I think the Achilles heel when it comes to Jackson Dart is his style of play. A lot of people think that is a lot of that is aggressive, and considering the fact that he has had three, concussion checks is not something you want to hear from your franchise quarterback, especially him being a rookie. Nevertheless, but because they have him in play, eventually you're gonna have Malik Neighbors, who's your top wide receiver. You're gonna have him back in the fold. So the thing you have to protect your quarterback. If he's not willing to make that transition into changing his game, I mean, he says that now. He said it on camera, but again, he's 22 years old, and eventually you have to think about your career in the long term. So I think with that said, when you have a chance to devour this season and take it all in and start a brand new season next year, I think the mindset that he has will eventually change because again, you have to think about long term as far as you know playing the game at a high level. Number one, well, honestly, truth be told, the number one aspect should be the number one, as far as living life. You know, a lot of the times we look at these athletes and we're just so admired by them and view them as superheroes and stuff. We almost sort of lose sight that these guys are humans, just like me and you. I mean, they're probably two and three times bigger than us, but they're humans at the end of the day that have a purpose, of life. And with Jackson Dog's situation, I think you have to go offensive line. You ultimately have to go offensive line because, listen, as great as Pat Mahomes has been, as great as Tom Brady was back in the day, as great as Peyton Manning was, as great as Drew Brees, and I can go on and on and on as far as the great quarterbacks that I've had the pleasure of watching every Sunday. They all had good protection, and you need to solidify that with the first pick. Now, if it's the number one pick, that's where it becomes tricky because obviously they're not going to go quarterback. I will be super surprised if they decide to go quarterback when you already have Dart on the fold. You can always pick up a veteran quarterback to back him up. I think Jameis Winston, he's shown signs of consistency with the time that he's gotten played. I think the ship has sailed as far as the Russell Wilson experiment, and that's an unfortunate to see. And I alluded to that a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. You have a quarterback that's so good, and as first ballot Hall of Famer. In my opinion, he's going to go as a first ballot Hall of Famer, considering the stature and the talent that he had brought in straight out of Wisconsin and had those tremendous years with the Seattle Seahawks. But a lot of that was just a protection that he had. Now, obviously, with age, the body wears and tears and stuff like that. And again, Father Time is undefeated, except you're LeBron James at this point. That guy is amazing. But besides the point, you got to start O line. You got to start O line. You need to protect this quarterback, and you need to find somebody who is going to be the cornerstone of that offensive line for the next 10 years to protect potentially a quarterback who is going to be in the Giants uniform for the next 10 years. So I think right off the bat, considering where they are right now, you got to go you got to go offensive line as far as the New York Giants go. You got to go offensive line, protect your quarterback. And I believe, as far as what we have seen so far from Jackson Dart, that is definitely the way to go. And he listen, it's unfair, and I've seen the criticism that he has gotten as far as, oh well, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, but there's been signs of, I don't want to say greatness because it's too early to put that type of label on a young quarterback, but there are signs where it's like, damn, like this could possibly be something good. If we put some protection around, if we give him other weapons aside from elite neighbors to throw to, maybe, just maybe, we'll have something that we can work around, with this process with Jackson Dart as quarterback. Because clearly the Russell Wilson experiment wasn't working at all. We've seen how that had gone. They pretty much booed him out of the stadium that Sunday night against Kansas City. So I think Jackson Dart moving forward gives the Giants the best chance to win. It'll be interesting to see if the Giants elect to go for a one of the top tier quarterbacks on the market, whoever that should be. I'm going to go on a limb and say that Joe Burrow is going to be on the market, depending on how Cincinnati's season goes. That is probably going to be the biggest name on the market. He's still rather young. He's got a couple of years under his belt, and when healthy, he is arguably top three quarterback in the league. So look to see. I can see a scenario as far as the Giants and Jets inquiring for his service. If the on the Giants end, if they just want to have Dart have more seasoning, more experience, sitting down with a clipboard and seeing somebody who has done it on a high level, you know, quarterback. But the thing with that is, you're bringing a guy like Burrow. If you're the Giants, you're probably looking at maybe a long term deal, considering the fact that Burrow still has, in my opinion, a few good years in his system. So, are you willing to bring in a guy like Burrow, who, when healthy, can be an MVP caliber quarterback in this league, in my opinion, and then have a guy who was potentially your franchise quarterback sit down for a couple of years? I don't know if that's the right move for the Giants as of now. Obviously, if and when Cincinnati decides to part ways or entertain any trade scenarios for Joe Burrow, you automatically think it's going to be the Giants among half of the league that's going to inquire about his service. So definitely something to watch for as far as what the Giants intend to do with that pick. But I think the Giants, depending on where they get, they're sitting at 2-11 right now. So right now they're at the number. I think they should be at the number one spot if I'm not mistaken, or I think it's a crossroads between Las Vegas. I was almost about to say Oakland, Las Vegas, and the Tennessee, because I think Tennessee is at number one currently. So we'll see how that goes. As far as the Jets go, I know everybody's gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it right now. I'm not the crazy. I'm not so crazy when it comes to Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. I know that's the name that everybody's been talking about. Yeah, he's great and stuff like that. He just, he's had a remarkable season at Indiana. He's been showing excellent accuracy and a powerful right arm, which sounds good, and it goes well with his pocket awareness, and he has a tremendous eye where he's able to avoid sacks and things of that nature and stuff like that. But is is he a franchise quarterback? Is he the guy that we've been looking for since Joe Namath? That's what I want to know. And for what I've seen right now, you know, minus all the greatness that we have seen, I haven't really seen that. And obviously the Jets can use anybody at this point. They are currently 27th in QBR at 40.5, and again, I don't think he is the long-term answer for the Jets. I just don't see it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This could be a scenario where they regret this and then he sort of just blooms out. I see. I see a lot of Baker Mayfield in him. I don't know why. If I had to think about somebody that Fernando Mendoza compares to, I do see a lot of Baker Mayfield in him. But again, we'll see ultimately how this goes. I think the Jets should be the team to at least inquire, at least make that phone call when it comes to like a Joe Burrow in Cincinnati or Kyler Murray up in Arizona. We got a call in, so we're gonna take that right now. Hey, good evening. This is Sports Talk. Who am I talking with?
Hey, this is Josh. Eddie, how you doing, brother?
My boy Josh. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man.
Saying, look, man, I was watching and I heard you talking about the Jets, and I couldn't take it no more. I had to call.
Well,
I had
listen.
to call, man.
If you listen, that's the heartbreaks that we see every Sunday, buddy. You know,
First of
it's
all,
just hard to watch a team and the team lose before the game starts. But that's you know you're a Jet fan, so you can feel some of my pain.
man, I'm gonna go out on the record and say I am not a fan of our offensive coordinator. I'm not a fan of him, and I feel like he's a big issue on why we're seeing the issues that we're having, especially with Justin Fields. Nobody wants to give that kid a chance, man. He deserves a good chance with a good OC and a good head coach that's gonna mold him. He's not being given a chance.
You're talking about just offensive coordinator. You're talking about Tanner Engstrand. When they
Yeah,
made that
Tanner.
hire, the first thing I said was, "Who?" I've never heard of him. I've never heard of the guy. I've never heard of the guy. Um, I was hoping, before we made the Aaron Glenn, I was hoping that maybe we can get two for the price of one and Lauren Ben Johnson, but obviously Ben Johnson went and took the Chicago Bears job, and he's doing some good things over in
You see
Chicago.
what he's doing out there,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah. Before you called, we were talking about Fernando Mendoza. That seems to be like the
Mendoza,
hot.
kid from Indiana.
Yeah, that seems to be like the hot commodity as far as who is expected to be the first quarterback off the board this year.
Okay,
What do
he's
you
having
think?
a great year. He's not. He's not the answer. He's
Okay,
having a
so you're
phenomenal
with
year.
me. All right.
Beating Ohio State, that's a great accolade. He's not the answer for the Jets. I'm sorry, he's not. What the Jets are gonna do in typical Jets fashion is they're gonna use all these first round picks that they got and cash out on some big name brand quarterback, which we in typical Jets fashion, and it's gonna bite us in the ass instead of building a team that we need to build with those picks.
You know what? I want to argue with you. I really want to bigger at you and just go back and forth with you. But this is one of those situations where I hate that you're right. I hate that you're right because this is what we do every year. It never fails. Oh yeah, this is gonna happen. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And it's either two scenarios: either we miss out on the person, or we're too damn cheap to actually invest on our homegrown players. I'm surprised they did it this year with Sauce Gardner and Gary Wilson. I was so surprised. I was like, you know what? Guaranteed one of those guys are gonna be gone. Turned out that one of those guys were gone via the trade. But yeah, no, listen, I'm right there with you, man. It's been very impressive to see what he does. But again, I don't know if you heard me a little while ago before you called. He gives me Baker Mayfield vibes. Now, I think Baker Mayfield is a pretty good quarterback. Do I think he's a elite quarterback? I feel like this, and I say this with every sport in general. You have your stars and then you have your superstars, which is the upper echelon as far as taking your
Yeah,
team to like AFC
I agree.
championship games and stuff like that. To me, Baker Mayfield, he's like borderline star. He's not gonna wow you all the time. I don't think he's a name that you will bring up in top five quarterbacks, maybe top 10, but this is who Fernando Mendoza reminds me of. I don't see. I mean, again, you can't ignore the numbers and the statistics. And again, tough task against Ohio State, and doing that was nothing short of remarkable. So yeah, I don't know with the Jets. I think you have to entertain two quarterbacks, and
Mhm.
this is obviously dependent on the market. As
Yeah.
far as them being available, Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray. Now, there's a whole lot of BS that's going
Mm.
on with Kyler Murray and Arizona. So it almost seems like he is on his way out with that
Not a Kyler
situation.
Murray fan. Joe Burrow is actually one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league right now, given his health. But I don't, me personally,
Yeah.
for the sake of Joe Burrow's career, I don't want to see him in a Jets uniform.
I,
And I
I
hate
hear
to
you,
say
man. But
it.
listen, we gotta get I'm so tired of losing. I just so
Yeah.
tired. I'm so tired. Listen, I've been with Our Time Press 15 years. I had a full head of hair. The locks were flowing. I was so happier. I had the Colgate teeth smile. I got the sun. I got a sunroof of a bald spot, and I just, I
You
got the
consider
salt. I got
that
the salt. I
close to
got the
being a
salt. I
Jets
got the
fan?
salt and pepper look. I don't know if you're able to see it now. I got the salt and pepper look, and I think 80% of that happens to be when I watch the Jets on Sundays. I guarantee you it. I guarantee you it. But again, it's just frustrating to see what has come about as far as this Jets team and whatnot. But again, if you're a Jets fan, this is something that you're obviously used to. But again, I think let's say for pretend, obviously you got Garrett Wilson. First and foremost, I read something that almost gave me a heart attack coming here about Garrett Wilson potentially coming back. No,
No, please don't.
no. Why? Why would you even do that?
Please,
You're 3-10 or
please.
3-11. You guys are missing the playoffs. Why are you gonna put? And this is the thing that really gets under my skin about the Jets. You're thinking about putting a guy who's your potential franchise. He's the cornerstone of that franchise. He's the face of the franchise. So no, instead of
Agreed.
keeping him reserved, having him get the reps and create more health for him and go into next year. No, we're just gonna throw him out there. We got no hope. We're gonna give it a chance and see what happens. But all in all, yeah, let's just throw a guy that we see of our franchise and just risk, any potential injury with that.
Right.
Yeah. But again, I don't. If the Jets, I think that's their first alternative. I think whatever they do this offseason is going to be via free agency. Obviously, with how their record is, they're going to have at least a top five pick. What should they do with their pick is going to be the biggest mystery. Do they decide to go all line again and continue to solidify that O line? They got an O line last year. They got Vera Tucker, who's supposed to, hopefully, he'll come back healthier the next year
Hmm.
around and whatnot. So, you got a nice little offensive line that they're building there. But I, it,
We need to get back them key pieces on defense we traded away.
that's true.
Uh,
So, that's true. And once you say that, I think about Avril Reese, the edge rusher from Ohio State.
Ohio State, yes
That
sir.
Oh my God, I would love. And listen, we've had some luck with linebackers from Ohio State. I don't know if you remember Mr. Darren Lee. He was pretty
Darren
good.
Lee.
He was pretty good back in the day for the Jets out of Ohio State. And obviously, Ohio State in general, it just meshes good with the Jets. It's like a good chicken parm dinner. You know what I'm
New York
saying?
and
Yeah,
Ohio, they
get,
neighbors,
yeah, you know
so
what I'm saying? Garrett Wilson is a former Ohio State guy. He was pretty good, you know? So listen, whatever the Jets do, just make sure this guy is from Ohio State. Josh, man, I appreciate you calling in, brother. Thank you so much.
all the time, no problem. Take care.
Right. Just want to let you guys know that this isn't just me. The people have spoken. I'm tired of 16 years is enough. 16 years is just enough. I don't know. You see, with Woody Johnson, it's just you don't know because it's him and Hal Steinbrenner. They just resemble so much of each other, where they just talk a lot of BS. They talk about how much they want to bring a championship to the city of New York, and then they go and do something, and then you don't hear about them for the rest of the year. So I don't I don't know. This is the first year that I can honestly say I have no idea what the Jets' intentions are. Um, Obviously, I want to keep Brees Hall. He's a top tier running back in the NFL, in my opinion, at least top 10 running back, in my opinion. Obviously, you got Garrett Wilson, and before he went down, he was having career highs in a lot of categories as far as receiving and things of that nature. So you got a mini nucleus, brewing in in gangrene. Can you exceed it going forward? That remains the question. Don't touch anything that doesn't need to be touched. Leave Gary Wilson. You locked him up for a long term deal. But I have to agree with Josh on this one. I definitely would entertain and at least look to see as far as what defense, as far as the defense side of the ball. And I think adding a stud like Avril Reese is going to be nothing short but amazing. You solidify what you lost as far as Quentin Williams, as far as Sauce Garner, and you recreate what you had. He's had 6.5 sacks as a primary edge rusher this year, and he has a combination of burst and power, and his frame alone, he has the frame to be a standout NFL edge rusher now. So we'll see if that's where the Jets decide to go. If I was the Jets and I was holding that pick, I that would definitely be the pick I would go for. It doesn't make sense to go for Fernando Mendoza. I don't think that he is the long term answer for the Jets. You can look and say, oh well, what about Dante Moore from Oregon? He's pretty good. I like Dante Moore's game. I just don't. I see a little bit of consistent issues with me, and if you're a Jets fan, that's all you see every week is inconsistency. We don't need none of that crap or any additions to the BS that we've been seeing uh, from the Jets for the past 16 years. So again, it's just really, really, really. It's been a really tough year for New York football, but again, we have top picks as far as both the Giants and the Jets. I do think the ceiling is a little bit more higher for the Giants than the Jets, considering the fact that they do have a top tier wide receiver. They do have a potential franchise quarterback in Dax Jackson Dart. 917-319-5481 is the call to call in. Let me know what's going on. Baseball, basketball, football, whatever is on your mind. We are in the house. Sports Talk with Eddie. We're gonna get into the winter meetings as far as the baseball goes. It's been very, very weird because normally the sources that you come out, you see, rumors and speculations as far as what this is going on, what's that going on. It's just been it's been a quiet night for at least the Yankees part. But I want to get into what the Mets have doing because whatever they're doing doesn't make any damn sense either. It's almost like they're the Jets but in orange and blue. I don't know what the hell's going on with them. Um, Now I get it. They offered Edwin Diaz a contract, but if you want to compare and contrast both Diaz and Williams, you got to go with the experience and the success rate as far as what Diaz provided for the Mets within the past 5 years. He has proven um, in many occasions that he has the capability. First of all, let me just say this: it's not easy. A lot of people are not cut to play in New York. It's just not. New York can chew you up and spit you out in any moment. If you do good, you're gonna be highly praised for it, and things of that nature. And trust and believe. If you come in with a big contract and a big name and you stink up the place, you're gonna hear about it. I guarantee you that. Um, yeah, just really he had some good years. 2025 year he had 62 games. He went 6-3 with a 1.63 ERA and he had 28 saves. Now, I'm a big believer that if you have the belief, and regardless of what happened, I do believe that the Mets management had belief. I don't know if Steve Cohen and management do. There may have been some people in the office saying, "Hey, well, you know what? This is Edwin Diaz. I mean, this guy, he's had a pretty good damn career as far as being the Mets closer and whatnot. But is he a long-term solution now?" And I think that's where the Mets management was struggling with that. Okay, so let's just say for pretend I got all of that. Let's say that made sense. You counter with Devin Williams? Are you kidding me? Yeah, we're gonna counter with Devin Williams, a guy who was crying and moaning about the facial hair policy that the Yankees have implemented for 50 years. I may add. Okay, so you know what, man? Let's do a change. Let's just see what happens if we lift lift this rule that we had for 50 years, which I'm pretty sure there was people as far as from a calm standpoint, there wasn't so much volume about it, but Devin Williams created that volume, and for the most part, we did it. I said, you know what? We say, you know what? Let's change. Let's try to go back to the evil empire stage and see how that goes and see if it works for us. Maybe, you know, this potentially opens up doors to top tier players that want to be a Yankee, but they're just not comfortable with that particular facial hair policy. I'm a big believer that hey, if your talent adds up to what you have performed in other stages, then whether you have a beard, a goatee, long hair, dreads, bald, it shouldn't even matter. You go out there and you perform. That's just me. That's just me. But I don't know. He had a really pretty good career. He had a record of 24-22 with an ERA of 2.93, 538 strikeouts, and 144 saves. This coming in 332 appearances for the Mets in his career. Now you go to Devin Williams. Now I say this, and you guys can call and say whatever you want as soon as I'm about to say this. But to me, it's a proven fact. Devin Williams has not been the same since he gave up that bomb to Pete Alonso in Milwaukee in that playoff game. He just hasn't. Granted, there's been some signs of productivity with him. He's done pretty good here and there. I'll even go on record and say for the past 2 months of the season, this was the Devin Williams that I thought that I was as a fan that we were originally supposed to see. But at the end of the day, and part of me can eat my words because truthfully, truth be told, I really didn't think that he wanted to be in New York. I just think that Milwaukee got the best compensation for what they got for him and whatever. At least they thought they did, and he was just pretty much saying what you're supposed to say on camera, all the right things and things of that nature. But you know, you give away a guy who had a 1.63 ERA, and you ultimately sign a guy that had an ERA over 4. I'm not doing a 6-7, but make it make sense. Make it make sense to me just a little bit, because again, unlike Diaz, you know Williams, he hasn't really shown that he could perform in New York. Again, I don't care what sport it is or whatever, and I've said this numerous times on this podcast. You're a bigger name if you start out wherever you start out, but obviously you become a much bigger name when you play for the top tier markets, such as the Los Angeles, such as I'll even go and say Chicago for the most part. That's a big media market out there, and then obviously New York. He hasn't done that yet, and I don't think. And again, if he goes on, he signed a 3 year, $51 million contract with the New York Mets. If he goes on and he has a good first year, a good first year, I will come on this. I will come on this podcast. Met T-shirt, Met hat. Never been done before. Never been done before. And what I mean by good year, I don't mean an ERA over two. No, give me exactly what Edwin Diaz provided for you or lower. Give me an ERA of 1.69 or lower. And give me about 30 saves. If he can do that, I will come on this show. I won't be part of it, but I'll come on this show. Met hat, Met T-shirt. You guys could take it, copy and paste it, put me on a meme. I don't care. But I just don't think that he's cut off for New York. There's certain athletes right off the bat, based on their demeanor and things of that nature, that you just know that okay, well, you know what, man, this this could probably work out for him. I'm not saying that it's a Carl Pavano situation. I'm obviously not going to wish it on anybody because I don't want to, that to be wished upon. As far as my Yankees go. But again, it just it doesn't really make sense to let a guy. First and foremost, they didn't, according to numerous reports, they didn't inform Diaz nor his representative that excuse me, that they were even entertaining the fact of bringing Devin Williams. So it's just like, damn, like I I put on for you for the past 5 years, and you could even at least give me a call and say, "Hey, listen, man, our plan, we got Devin Williams. We're thinking about signing Devin Williams, not necessarily to take the closer role from you, obviously, but you know, put him. We're gonna bring him in. That's a potential setup role, and we're gonna make sure we take care of you. To compensate you for what you did the past couple of years or so. I mean, what was so hard about having that conversation? What was so hard about having that conversation? It just doesn't make sense for me why you couldn't just have that conversation, especially for a guy who he poured out his heart for the Mets. Obviously, there were some discrepancies like there is in all sports, but for the most part, I think if you speak and sit down with the prototypical Met fan, they'll tell you it was an honor and a pleasure to have Edwin Diaz in orange and blue. Um, Diaz went on to sign with none other than the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, these guys just take every damn body at this point. It's just 3 years, $69 million contract with the Dodgers, which is a record as far as the annual average value for a relief pitcher. And yeah, that's something. It's something else. And again, for all the teams out there, please just try to do something. Try to because the Dodgers are showing no remorse on the entire league. They don't care who the player is or how much the player is. The Dodgers are kind of reminding me of the demeanor that George Steinbrenner had back in the 90s with the Yankees, where he was like, listen, I don't give a damn what it costs. I want him in pinstripes, make it happen. Now, for the most part, at least from what I've seen thus far within the past 10 or so years with his son How seems to be a little more reserved. But if the past 2 years haven't told you anything as far as what spending a little money does, spending a little money equals winning. The Dodgers have won the World Series 2 damn years in a row. What are they missing? And this is minus the thought process of a payroll and things of that nature. Listen, all that stuff could be worked upon, man. If it's working for the Dodgers, and you can't tell me that the Yankees don't have no money to get these top tier players. When has there ever been a scenario where the Yankees is like, well, you know what? Yeah, he's too much. Now I get it. Sometimes you have those pencil pushing agents where they're gonna try to do right by their client, which is the right thing to do. You know, you're working with somebody, you want them to get the best for their buck that you can, which I definitely understand, definitely understand. But to all the other teams out there, and I'm talking about more likely the playoff caliber teams, and I guess in a way, without being unbiased, the Yankees. You know, there got to be something. There's got to be something going on. Give me some sort of dialogue that I can go on. But it's just been insane. But again, back to the Mets. I really hope that scenario works because again, regardless of whether I'm a Met fan or a Yankee fan, I think anybody will agree when you have these top market teams and they happen to be good at that particular sport, it makes that particular sport even better. I don't care what anybody says. That's just a fact of sports. You have basketball. New York teams are doing good in basketball. That ultimately elevates that. Look at the national televised games that the Knicks have had this year. When have we seen the Knicks have this much national televised games prior to last year? This is all facts here, man. This is all facts here at the end of the day. But again, the Yankees are well, the Mets for the most part. Let me finish with the Mets before I get into the Yankees. I don't know what the thought process is as far as getting players. Obviously, you win and you reeled in the big fish last year with Juan Soto. That was all good and dandy. But you pretty much lost. Well, not pretty much. You did. You lost your top closer. And yesterday, first baseman, which I've seen this happen. The writing was on the wall with this. Pete Alonso signed with the Baltimore Orioles for a 5-year, $155 million contract. But I'm not so mad about the Mets not entertaining Pete Alonso. It just seemed like there was a lot of friction between Alonso, the Mets organization, and Alonso's representatives. He did originally sign a 3-year, $90 million contract last year with an opt out after the first year, which he intended to do. And listen, I'm happy for Pete, man. Listen, this guy, when healthy, he's a hell of a player. He still can give you 20, 25 home runs, maybe 80 to 90 RBIs. Defense has always been his Achilles heel. He's not the prototypical solid first baseman, but he's decent. He's decent. 1 to 10, maybe 6.5, 7. But you know, I think I was a little bit surprised. Well, you know what? I'm not. Let me not say that I was, because truthfully, truth be told, I wasn't surprised. But I just didn't like the fact that he went to Baltimore, and for obvious reasons, He comes to the American League East, where we already have to worry about the Toronto Blue Jays for the defending American League champion. Tampa Bay is always knocking on the door. Boston is always going to be a thorn in our asses. And now you got Baltimore, who is who ultimately elevates himself with this type of move right now. Now again, is he worth $155 million at this stage in his career? I don't know. I definitely probably would have gone between 1 and 125, but obviously Baltimore saw enough to give him that bag for $155 million. So again, how do the Mets counter? You now need a first baseman. The only rumors that I've seen circulating is perhaps bringing in Paul Goldschmidt. Obviously, but Goldschmidt going into his 40s, this will be a short-term solution for the Mets. Or maybe they decide to go into their farm system, or listen, maybe they'll reel in a first baseman that we're not really paying attention about. That could obviously happen. I feel like every year during these winter meetings, there's always that one move that just wows the hell out of everybody. Like, holy cow, like that did that just happen? That team went and got that type of player. So as we stand now, and it's 5:48 here on the East Coast, there has been no sort of moves when it comes, at least during this hour. Now, obviously, if there's any moves that come forward and whatnot, we'll definitely bring it to you. And during the course of the week, I'll bring you guys a small telecast that I'll put on my Instagram page just to keep you guys updated and whatnot. Um, Obviously, as we move forward from the Mets, I just to close out, I just don't know what the hell they're doing. I just don't know. Hopefully, Met fans still have the confidence of Steve Cohen and David Stearns, and hope that they could pull a rabbit out the bag at this moment. So, yeah. So I don't know what the Mets are doing, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy at the time being what they're doing. But we'll see what happens ultimately. We'll see what happens. They have to do something as far as getting in the playoffs because I I would I really want to see somebody call into the show and be like, hey, I didn't have the Mets in the playoffs, and I would just tell them that you're BS. The roster that they had constructed and whatnot, you know, it was a good roster, and I felt like it was a championship caliber type of roster. But for some reason, it just didn't click. There was rumors circulating about friction between Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. Juan Soto wasn't necessarily happy that Francisco Lindor wasn't. I don't want to say taking the game serious, but from the sources that I've come across, they were saying that Soto um, is this gritty type of player where he's all business first, and Lindor was pretty much, the pretty boy who was worried about fashion and things of that nature. So again, these are all rumors that have not been confirmed, nor can we confirm them at the time being. But obviously, when you talk about your top two tier players on the team, and it happens to be in New York, that's going to create a lot of buzz for everybody around. So obviously, the Yankees' first move got to be to re-sign Cody Bellinger. Now, the last report that I came across is that they're at a stalemate as far as years. I don't think it necessarily. Well, it better not have nothing to do with money. That's all I know. It better not have anything to do with money because it would be such a shame for the Yankees to just let another guy go. We pretty much, even though we put up a fight to get Juan Soto back in the fold last year, unfortunately he decided to go elsewhere. But the way the roster is constructed, you need they. It's not that much versatile players that you got right now in today's game. We got another call coming in. Hey, good evening. This is Sports Talk. What's on your mind? Who am I speaking with?
How you doing, brother?
I'm sorry, I can't hear
Die
you.
hard Jets fan
Die Hard Jazz fan?
till I die.
Love to hear it, man. What's on your mind?
And to the last caller, man, I understand what he's trying to say, especially with our picks and building off of that. In today's day and time, and it's so difficult to build without investing years and years and years of losing and building. And give you an example, look at Oklahoma City in basketball. That's a lot. There's a lot going on. It took them many, many years. We got so long to go. Who are we bound to pass in the next 4 or 5 years? 6. Let's say 6 years. We have to. I believe we have to start straight off management. If we start at management, then I think we'll be great.
Now, when you allude to management, are you talking about a removal of someone, perhaps a general manager?
Yes, we need a better general man. I think we need to replace our whole management staff. They're going about this. Look what we did last year with Aaron Rodgers. We had no reason. Not last year.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. 3 years ago, we picked up Aaron Rodgers. For what? For what? To fill in seats? Brother, we need to focus on bigger projects. We lost with that.
You know what, Kenny?
Yes, the name was exciting. Having that name up there was exciting but us picking up declining quarterbacks like we did with Brett Favre, every other quarterback we had. Our last great player was Revis, He wasn't even a quarterback. He was a corner
Listen,
for
I
me.
I can put it in a good bet that the last time the Jets had a quarterback, we weren't born. So uh, that's just the
That's
name of the
still
game. I mean, if you want to talk about decent and consistency, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick created some sort of excitement, but Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't going to lead us to no damn Super Bowl. He just wasn't.
no, not at
Yeah.
all. I'm gonna be honest with you. I still have nightmares of Sancho.
Oh my God.
Swear to God,
Um,
I still have nightmares of that man, bro.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you want to talk about consistency and at least some sort of hope, I do remember the years of Mark Sanchez, preferably the years that we went to the AFC Championship game. I remember the one year, I think that's when they played the Colts, and we were up like 10-3 at halftime, and I was at Buffalo Wild Wings with some old college buddies, and
Don't
I'm
do
like,
this to me.
damn,
Don't do
can
this
this
to
be?
me.
Can this be the year? Can this be the year where I can actually be alive to see a Jets Super Bowl? And then of course they crap the bed like they do every year. Um, as far as Darren Mogi goes, who is the Jets general manager, we this is his first year. So if we're willing to and hear me out here, if we're willing to give Joe Douglas the time that we gave him to
Yes,
implement a good
yes.
roster, we ultimately got to give that same opportunity to Mogi. Now,
I like Moby because he moves slow and accordingly. He doesn't rush to do things. You know what I mean? He's very militant with his time and decisions. What was the last thing he constructed?
I think he had I know he had some experience with Denver. That's where they ultimately got him from. And I know him and Aaron Glenn, they've always been friends off camera and stuff like that. So I think the combination of having Aaron Glenn's expertise on defense and
And then,
Mogi's ability to build the team. Listen, Denver Broncos are a team that nobody's talking about.
nope.
And who built that team? Darren Mogi. So
Yes, sir.
as much as we get frustrated. Listen, this and maybe next year, these are rebuilding years. We have to as Jets fans, we have to process that in our heads. These are rebuilding years. Now obviously it's not easy to tune into a Sunday and see a guy throw for -9 yards and realize and tell yourself, damn, why did we lost the game? Well, you're throwing for -9 yards. That's probably why you lost the damn game.
Dude, we got
So
holes everywhere. We got holes in our offense, in our defense. Look what the Dolphins did to us in one quarter. That's not man.
yeah,
That's
it's tough to
we got
watch.
good guys. I feel like we have good guys. We really do. We really have guys that are determined and want to play. It's just too many holes. Too easy to fix. It's too
Yeah.
easy for everyone to figure us out.
Yeah, this is obviously a situation that's not going to unfold overnight. This is going to take, I hate to say this because it seems like you say this every 10 years with the Jets. It's going to take some time
It's gonna
because
take
because once
brothers.
again, we're in a rebuild after coming off a rebuild, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think if you heard the previous call that I had with Josh, I think I don't think Fernando Mendoza is the answer. I just don't. I just don't. I
Nah,
mean,
we
listen,
all agree that
he
he's
he
not.
he,
I
he
think
he's
all of us.
talented. He's talented, but there's a different type of upper echelon talent that you have to have when you play for New York. That's just what it is. Giants, Jets. That's
It's
just how it's always
obviously
been.
work as is.
That's just how it's
None of
been. I
the patience that
think
we have.
I think the Jets owe it to themselves to at least make a call to two teams. Make a call to Cincinnati. Inquire about Joe Burrow. You make a call
Yes,
to
yes.
Arizona and you acquire about Kyler Murray. You can't. They have the draft compensations to do it. They have a bunch of first round picks within the past couple of years. They have the conversations to do it. Whether the conversation will be to liking of Cincinnati as far as what they want in a package for Burrow remains to be unseen. But I
Cincinnati
think
let go. I don't think Cincinnati will let him go.
I don't. You know what? I don't think either. But it almost considering the season that they had, there's been some friction going on. There's been some locker room rumors that's going on, and
Yeah, but so
normally,
yeah, but that's we can't. with all in all, I heard that same situation, man, and it'll be I feel like it would be detrimental to allow Joe Burrow, due to injuries or misunderstandings or back and forth with teammates. I don't think those are grounds to let a player like that go for a franchise.
And Kenny,
I don't.
we've seen a lot of crazy things happen in the world of sports.
Oh yes.
Never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that the Dallas Mavericks would give up Luka Doncic.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
did
was
not
gonna
see
say
that.
the same
I did
thing.
not see that. So at the end of the day, part of the aspect, we get what we see from sports and accolades and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the business part could be just as sour. That's what it is.
That's so sad, man.
Yeah.
That's sad, bro.
Yeah.
That
Kenny,
is
brother, man, I appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much for tuning
no
in.
man. Thing, man. God bless, bro. We keep watching. We stay posted. I wish you the best, man. Continue doing your thing. I look forward to locking in next time your next show.
Thank you so much, man.
Always.
In closing, the Jets need to do something. I feel like I say this every week, but you ultimately have to come to a solution where the bleeding has to stop. The bleeding has been bleeding for 16 years. I just, I was 22 years old the last time they made the playoffs. And yeah, I just gave up my age. Great. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight as you do every weekend. Please pick up the latest copy of our Time Press. Absolutely good stuff in there. A nice tribute to our dear friend PJ. And thank you guys. Love you guys so much. And I'll see you on the next one.